who, with his hands between the hands of the Queen, becomes her liege man of life and limb.
For Britain's longest reigning monarch, he was the one constant witness.
And kisses her upon the left cheek.
For more than 7 decades, Prince Philip kept watch as Elizabeth transformed from princess to queen, grew from young bride to great-grandmother and the world's longest reigning living monarch. Along the way, he too broke records. He is the longest-serving British royal consort, for the Queen a near constant shadow, and though always a step behind, his access and insight were unrivaled. In some ways, he was born to play that role. The young Prince Philip was brought up in a royal household, born on a Greek island and in line to the Greek throne. But then the monarchy was overthrown. His family was rescued by a Royal Navy ship sent by George V. At age 7, his parents separated and his mother was sent to a psychiatric clinic. He was shuffled between relatives and boarding schools, and from the loneliness, he learned to care for himself.
So all of that, I think, made him a very independent person and a man who had to very much live on his wits.
He did well in the Navy, which gave him the stability he craved.
At that time, I was virtually stateless, I think. I had a Danish passport, but the Navy said that they'd accept me. And so I went into the Navy, I think certainly at the instigation of my uncle, Lord Mountbatten.
Philip, as a young man, was popular. It was his uncle, Lord Louis Mountbatten, who introduced him to his third cousin, Elizabeth. For her, the prince would give up his Greek title and church. In 1947, as a new British citizen, the prince had successfully wooed the princess and the nation.
Again and again, the people called for Elizabeth and Philip.
With the coronation, there was more to give up. This time, his Navy career. He would devote his life to supporting the British monarch.
He was perfectly able to cope with that. And although people always said how difficult it must have been for him to walk a step behind the Queen, I don't think that concerned him one bit.
Early on, he established the Duke of Edinburgh Award for Youth. Thousands participated in the UK and in Canada, and the popular award became his most important solo accomplishment. Even as a new husband, there were rumors of affairs, certainly many a night out. Rumors of a marital rift were never confirmed. As a father, he was loving but tough. Early on, he had a strained relationship with his firstborn, Prince Charles, who was far meeker than his father.
I think he's always been hoping to, earn his father's admiration. In fact, I don't think that Prince Charles ever quite his parents never quite got it right with him.
For the monarchy, the Duke of Edinburgh was a modernizing influence. He also fell into the role of advisor for other newcomers, like Princess Diana, especially when her own marriage was falling apart. When she was killed in a Paris car crash, he advised his grandchildren.
Prince William was really not terribly keen to walk in the procession because he was so fed up with the shenanigans of the press and not unreasonably blamed them for his mother's death. And Prince Philip took the long view, and he said to him, I think, when you're older, you'd very much regret not walking behind your mother's coffin, and I'll walk with you.
As a husband, Prince Philip was perhaps the only royal who could say anything to the Queen. He was often unpredictable in public, making widely reported sexist and racist remarks, like describing Chinese people as slitty-eyed and bluntly telling British business leaders they were lazy.
I've just done what I think is my best. I can't suddenly change my whole way of doing things. I can't change my interests. I can't change the way in which I react to things. It's part of that's somebody's style, and it's too bad.
He's not one to hide his opinion, says this biographer who has interviewed him.
With one particular book I was doing, his answers were so good that I couldn't use half of them because they were libelous.
For the Queen, his counsel and company were indispensable. They cut a figure of unity and stability in a family where marriages failed too often.
He is someone who doesn't take easily to compliments, but he has quite simply been my strength and stay all these years.
I think it was, it's fair to say that Queen Victoria lost Prince Albert, who was her great support, at a very young age, and the Queen was very lucky to have had him all those years.
In his early 90s, the prince started to battle the effects of old age. He was in and out of hospital with chest infections, a hip replacement. There were constant concerns about his health, but he kept bouncing back. Not long after the marriage of William and Kate, Prince Philip announced he was scaling back. After more than 22,000 solo engagements, he felt he had done his bit. He officially wrapped up his royal career with an event with the Royal Marines in 2017. Now officially away from the spotlight, he was still supporting the Queen and his growing family. The fiercely independent prince still made headlines. Behind the wheel, he was in a car crash and had to hand over his license. In the years before his death, the once powerful voice in the royal family fading into the background, occasionally spotted enjoying his private time. He was the oldest male British royal to ever live, and this monarchy's chief eyewitness after the Queen herself. Renee Filipponi, CBC News, London.